of text response prompts, we've already looked at the different types of questions and the different parts that make up an essay question. Now we're going to talk about how to get ideas to help you respond to the essay question. It can be quite intimidating when you're receiving an essay question blind. You haven't seen it beforehand before getting into the assessment task, and so often we go blank. Hopefully these are some strategies you can use to help you get started. Time really is important. You might be feeling nervous and just jump straight into writing, and you'll probably find that your piece is a little bit chaotic if you don't spend a little bit of time, about 5 minutes, planning some responses and ideas before you start. Obviously you want to break down the prompt and get ideas in the quickest possible way, and the more you do this, the more practice you get at this, the quicker you will get at it and the better you will get at it. So make sure you're exposing yourself to a lot of different essay questions in the lead up to any assessment tasks. The first thing you need to do is you need to make sure that you understand what the prompt is actually asking you. And two strategies you can use are circle it and paraphrase it, and I'll go into a little bit more detail about what I mean by that in a second. But basically, make sure you understand the prompt before you try to get ideas, because when you're coming up with ideas, you can get quite abstract and off track, and making sure you have a concrete understanding of the question can help keep your essay on track and your ideas on track. Once you understand the question, then there are some strategies for getting specific ideas. Link it, attack it, and storm it. It'll make sense in a second. So to make sure you understand the question, you go through the things that we talked about in our last video, where you look at the keywords, the directive words, and the limiting words, and you want to underline or circle them. Think about, what do those words mean? Do they remind you of any examples? Do the words hold any connotations? For example, the word crazy compared to emotional can mean the same thing, but they have slightly different connotations to them. Are there any synonyms you could use? This is a really good time when you could come up with a brainstorm of different words you can use, and so you don't find yourself repeating yourself in the essay. Also, would changing them slightly change the whole idea? So if the essay question called Medea crazy, but you changed it to emotional, how does that change the whole idea? And you'll start to see on that continuum where your exceptions lay to the essay question. Are there any words you need to look up? Patriarchal might stump some of you, for example. It doesn't mean patriotism, it means a male-dominated society, by the way. But make sure you have your dictionary with you so you can look up any of those words. And then once you've broken that down, you want to paraphrase it. Now this is really important because it makes you understand the essence or the core of the prompt. When you're paraphrasing it and putting it into your own words, you're really establishing what it is the question is asking you. At this level, it's never going to be asking you for a simple answer. At Year 12, you're not going to have a black and white response. And if you do have a black and white response, then you've probably missed something. You're not looking deep enough. Check to see if there are two parts to a question. And think about why people might say or think this about the text. Why does the author care about this topic? That can be the spark for your first idea. And then you want to, once you've thought about all these things, you want to paraphrase it into your own words. And then once you start to get more ideas, keep coming back to this paraphrase to make sure that you're actually answering the whole question and not just part of it, or the most obvious part of it. The first strategy I recommend with breaking down an essay question is to look at the topic and see if it relates to any other themes. For example, a topic that talks about emotion may also relate to reason or love. These are themes that connect to each other. Also think about any specific author craft choices. For example, a topic that's focused on feminism may be influenced by the choice of protagonists for the text. If it's a feminist text, you're most likely going to have a female protagonist. And does this break with tradition for that sort of story? Does it relate to any other essays you've written or read? Some of the ideas that you've read or written about previously may apply to this new essay question that you've got with a little adaptation. Just make sure that you do adapt. No two essay questions are alike. Another strategy I recommend is to attack the question. Remember that continuum we talked about? Where do you sit on that continuum? You need to justify your position. If you completely agree with it, why might someone completely disagree with it? that will give you a little bit more nuance to your response. Also, when you're trying to fit your ideas entirely into one side, you'll probably notice that there are exceptions. Those exceptions become ideas and help you create a more complex contention. Another strategy, which is a strategy that a lot of people use, is that they brainstorm it. They look at all the examples they can think of that relate, and then think about what that example says about the prompt. It's very important that you don't just leave it at the example, but you think of the prompt. So if you have an essay question saying, what does Medea reveal is the difference between revenge and justice? And you might have an example of the chorus of women saying that she deserves justice. That's an example. You need to think about why they believe that. And why does Euripides have the chorus believe that? What is he saying about the tension between love and justice, or emotion and justice, society and women, etc., etc. You need to take that step back and think about what is the author saying through this example. So there's the 3 strategies I would suggest. You link it, you challenge it, and you brainstorm it. And once you've done that and you've scribbled all over your page, you should have a few ideas developing. It's really important, as I said, that you take the time to break down the question properly. Most topics will have more than you could ever possibly cover in a limited time span. So when you're brainstorming and you have all these ideas, you want to look for your best ones. You want to look for the ones that aren't the most obvious. You want to look at the ones that are genuine to what you actually think. Breaking down the question also helps you order your thoughts. There'll be ideas that connect to each other and transition really smoothly into each other. And breaking down the question helps keep you on track, which in turn makes it feel like less work and will help you get started even more confidently. It's really important once you do that you have a really quick plan. Think about which ideas work well together. Can you combine any ideas? Are they similar to make a more unique, higher order thinking idea? Is there an order that would help your ideas flow better from one to the next? And do any of your ideas open themselves up to discussing author craft? Remember that is a criteria on your SAC that you'll need to respond to, the authorial views and values. If all else fails, which 3 ideas do you feel most confident with? They're the 3 ideas you want to go with. Just a quick hint. Spend just a minute or 2 sorting your ideas out. Hopefully you'll have at least 3, but 5 or 6 is better so that you have some options to go from. If you just stop as soon as you've got 3, then it's most likely that there are going to be a lot of other people who have those exact same 3. The first 3 that pop to your mind are most likely going to be the first 3 that pop to someone else's mind. So have 5 or 6 if you can, so that you have some options. Here's some quick tips, some do's and don'ts. Do consider the author craft and values. Do consider multiple audiences, the ancient audience, the modern audience, the female audience. Remember the continuum. Make sure you answer the whole question. Don't miss parts of it. Brainstorm more ideas than you'll need so that you have some options. And don't forget the limiting words. These are those moments when you can challenge. Don't forget the minor characters. You'll get some really good stuff out of them, and often the minor characters are going to give you that unique perspective that the major characters aren't. Don't just purely disagree or agree, as I've said. Don't make up your own question. And don't write a list essay. That basically means paragraph 1 would be your first example, etc., or character 1, paragraph 1, character 2, paragraph 2. Character 3, paragraph 3. That's what I mean by a list essay. You want to focus on ideas, not examples or characters. They come into it, but they're not the focus. So good luck everyone. I hope these videos have helped, and see you later.